Hello everybody, the next plane off the pile is a Stanley No. 35 transitional plane. Let's take a look at it. I've already got this old plane broken down because I've spent the last 6 months working on the wood. What I've been doing is rubbing oil into it a couple times a week, trying to get it brought back to life. Stanley made the number 35 from 1867 to 1943. This solid brass adjustment knob that doesn't have Bailey at the top of it tells me this plane's a Type 3. It was made between 1870 and 1871. Some of the other telltale giveaways that would tell me that this is a really old plane is it's a pre-lateral, which means there's no lateral adjustment lever on that frog. It's a solid lever cap. It's not hollowed out like what the more newer ones are. And the distinctive shape of the tote and the mushroom shaped front knob. Not quite as distinctive on the knob as the Type 1 was, and I believe the Type 2 more of a mushroom, but definitely distinctive and some nice looking wood. I don't have a before picture of the wood, but there's definitely a huge difference. They look 100% better. Primarily rubbing the oil in, my reason for doing it was to try to close up some cracks that are on the sole of this plane. They closed up probably about almost half of what was there, but doesn't seem to be closing anymore. Some do, some don't, so this one's ready to go back together like it is. Possibly over time, and if the next owner continues to rub oil into it, they may close up. Because this is a very old plane that you don't see a lot of, the Type 3s, I'm going to do a resurrection instead of a restoration. First step is going to clean up these 3 parts right here with some simple green and that toothbrush. Scrub them down and rinse them off. And with the scrubbing complete, the good news is a major portion of the Japanning remains. And it's interesting to see how it was applied back then. If you look at the frog right there, you can see where it was put on thick and it ran. Look at the side of the lever cap. You see the same thing where it looked like it was just doused over the top and ran down the sides and never even covered the entire lever cap, because that little area right there never had Japanning on it. And it appears as if on the opposite side it was the same way. Then hidden under the tote were casting marks WW. I don't recall those being in the book. I'll have to go back and look. But overall, the Japanning looks good for something that's nearly 150 years old. Next, I'm going to go over the Japanning with some 4/0 steel wool and just clean it up just a little bit. Not too aggressive, but it will dull it. We're going to take care of that in a little bit. And there's how the Japan parts look after the 4/0 steel wool and a little bit of use of my scraper and dental pick where there was rust in the almost always present paint. I also want to show you the underside of the body. See how the Japanning was applied. Nowhere near completely coating the entire thing. Just a little run through by the knob hole. And that would be the primary reason of the staining that you see right here on the wood. That staining is part of its history. It's not going to come out, so you just make it look as pretty as you can. But when the metal isn't coated with Japanning, what you get is rust, and rust makes stains. The next thing I'm going to do is unleash my dirty oil rag on the Japan parts. A generous coat of dirty oil over everything in every nook and cranny. And with the dirty oil done, it's on to the iron and the iron cap. I'm going to clean those up using my scraper, some steel wool, worn out sanding sponge, and possibly some sandpaper on these sanding blocks. We'll see how much it takes to get them down to where I think they have that nice original patina on them. I think that's it for the scraping. It's looking pretty good. I showed you how to make my scraper in a video by itself. Scraping makes a world of difference. You can see Rust has been removed. We're down to smooth metal. You don't scrape the back side of the iron cap. And there's a look at the back side. I'm going to use steel wool on that and maybe the sponge sander. That's about it. You don't want that bluing to come off. But here's the back side of the iron, scraped, ready for the next step. And that step will be to use an old worn piece of 150 grit on a sanding block and an old medium grit, maybe fine sponge sander. Both of them have seen a lot of use. I'm going over it lightly, just trying to smooth it up and even up the tone of the patina that's remaining. Moving on to the sanding sponge, get it nice and light, shining it up. Steel wool the back of the iron cap, taking off the rust, not removing the bluing. And the last thing I'm going to do is steel wool the entire metal surfaces. And there's a look at the end result after being cleaned up. It's got the correct trademark on the iron cap and on the iron. Still see the original patina. That's what I was looking for. And the back sides look just as good. If you want more details on how to clean up the iron and the iron cap and how to sharpen an iron, I did videos on just that. Next, I sharpen the iron at a 25-degree angle. I started with 150 grit. Went to 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, going to finish it up with 7,000 grit paper. And after the 7,000 grit, this nearly 150-year-old iron is ready to shave with. And it's on to cleaning up the small parts. The small parts have cleaned up really nice and I made a lot of progress. I wiped the dirty oil off of the metal parts and I gave everything a coat of wax. As you can see, it's looking real good. There's a night and day transition from what it used to look like. Let's take a look at the back side of everything. 150 years of patina on the old knob have darkened it, like all the wood has gotten darker. Still got patina on the brass. Solid depth adjustment knob looks good. Base cleaned up nice. One thing I noticed about these really old ones is the throat on every one I've had is large. First one I saw, I thought it had been enlarged by somebody, but now after having several, I'm convinced they come large like that from the factory. There's the bottom of everything, and there's only one thing left to do, and that's put her back together and give it a test drive. Wow, the old beauty turned out way better than I thought it would when I started this project. Look at that. Just couldn't ask for more. Nearly 150 years, and I'd say this one looks better than it did the day it was made. It's got that patina that gives it a character that can't be matched. And look at the graceful shape of that tote that they put on the old ones. And there's that more pronounced mushroom shape on the front knobs. They don't do that on the newer ones. Normally this is the part of the video where we take it for a test drive, but not this one. The iron sticks too far down through the throat. Best thing you can hope to do is make about 1/16 of an inch shavings, and the only way to fix it would be to sharpen it down to where it's acceptable. I'm going to leave that for the next owner to try to figure it out. So instead of the test drive, we're going to take a look at the pile. I've had a couple of requests. People want to know what the pile is. This is the pile. It's about 6 feet high, boxes and tubs from floor up. Those tubs are all stacked full. There's lots of planes in them. That's all block planes down there. And it's spread out all over the shop. I got some on top of that cabinet and other places too. You see a few sitting on my bench behind where I work. They're kind of lined up, ready to go. Put a couple up on the pegboard that I like. I made a shadow box several years ago to display all of the bench planes, high knob and low knob. Used to have a whole collection in there, now it's just planes that are part of the pile. And of course then there's metal shells that have got planes in them. So I'm going to put this old beauty on eBay and let the next owner figure out how to solve the mystery. It'll be priced right, so it'll be a good buy if you want a 150-year-old plane and a project. That's all that's left to do. Figure out how to make this iron work. My guess is it's probably been swapped out with an incorrect iron and iron cap, but everything looks so authentic and original, it's hard to say. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed the video. Another beautiful old plane. Gotta look to the pile, see what's next. You know what time it is. Time for supper. Bye.